Okay, I think that's probably enough in terms of grammar explanations. And let me begin by starting this story. Okay, so here we go. Let's imagine. Are you sitting comfortably, ladies and gentlemen? Are you in a nice, comfortable position? Okay, then I'll begin. Right, let's see. So I was sitting there with my eyes closed, just having a little bit of a nap. I was like, oh, I'm a bit tired. I think I'll just close my eyes, have a little bit of a nap. So I started drifting off. And then, you know, when you've been sleeping, when you've been sort of napping, you're just a bit sleepy and you feel like yourself drift away. Well, I started to feel myself drifting away and I was like, oh, I better not fall asleep. So I opened my eyes again and I had a look around me and I realised, oh my God, where am I? I have no idea where I am. I had a little look around the room and it was like this sort of very old looking wood-panelled room. And there were various people sitting around. It was a very serious feeling atmosphere. And I thought, what's going on here? And there was a man sitting next to me, going through lots of papers. There were like lots of very big leather-bound books on shelves behind me. A very serious kind of atmosphere. On the wall at the back of the room, there was a big coat of arms, like a royal coat of arms there, and like a raised level with two high desks and chairs behind them. And then at that moment, someone in the room said, all rise, please, for Judge... what's the name of the judge? Judge G. Arilla. All rise. And I thought, oh, hello, what's going on here? The guy next to me stood up and he was like, what are you doing? Stand up. You got to show respect. I was like, okay. So I stood up, I had a look, and the judge arrived, and I thought, oh, I'm in a courtroom. Okay, I'm in a courtroom. This is just context, I thought to myself. Oh, okay, fine. I don't know how I got here. The judge sat down. The judge sat down? No, he didn't. The judge sat down and he said some official sounding things like, we are here, we've joined here in the courtroom today in order to hear the case of Mr. L. Johnson. And I thought, Luke Johnson? Oh my God, that must be me. And he said, Luke Johnson, you stand here today accused of theft. And I was like, what? Accused of what? And I turned to the guy next to me, who I assumed must have been my solicitor. I said, what do you mean accused of theft? And he said, what are you talking about? Haven't you been paying attention for the last 3 days? You've been arrested. You've been charged with theft. I was like, what? Theft? Theft of what? He said, someone is accusing you of stealing biscuits. And at that point, the judge said, we have in the dock today Mr. Luke Johnson, accused of stealing the last biscuit from the biscuit drawer in his office. And I thought, oh my God, really? And I put my hand up and I said, sorry, can I say something? And he said, Mr. Johnson, do you have something to add here? I said, yeah, I'd just like to add something to the proceedings here. Am I being accused of stealing a biscuit? He said, yes, that is the charge which is being levelled at you today. You've been charged with theft in the first degree. And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe it. I never realised that this was such a serious crime. I'm not saying whether I did it or not, but I'm just saying, wow, this is amazing. I looked around the courtroom and I thought, this is amazing, this courtroom. Sure, I'm being accused of stealing, but still, this is amazing. Look at the environment. Look at the wig that the judge is wearing. Doesn't he look amazing? I thought to myself, wow, these people must have worked very hard in their lives to get to this position. I really admire people like this for, their professionalism and their determination. It's really incredible. And I kind of think, how on earth did they who decided to arrest me for stealing a biscuit? I mean, did I miss a meeting? I didn't realise this was a crime. Did everyone get together and sort of agree on a new set of laws for the UK, and that biscuit theft was one of the more serious crimes? I missed that. If I had been at that meeting, there's no way I would have agreed with the introduction of some new punitive measures to prevent biscuit theft. I mean, sure, it's a big problem, but there's no need to go overboard, is there? I mean, taking someone to court for taking the last biscuit. I realise it's a serious offence, but this is a bit much, isn't it? I said, look, before we go any further, we could just forget about this, can't we? I mean, if I just apologise to whoever it was. Who was it, by the way, who has decided to prosecute me? And the judge said, well, look, it's the job of the Crown Prosecution Service to do the prosecuting, okay? But just in case you wanted to know, the police were called by a gentleman named Jeffrey Stevens. I thought, Jeff, it's bloody Jeff again, isn't it, with his biscuit obsession? Anyway, I thought, look, can I just apologise to Jeff about the biscuit thing? I know how much he loves eating biscuits. Can I just apologise to Jeff and then we can just forget about this? And he said, look, I'm sorry, but you're now in court, okay? If you disagree with the litigation or the prosecution which is going ahead today, then you can, at a later date, apply to the court for an appeal. And if the judges agree, if the court decides that they agree with it, then they might approve the appeal. But generally speaking, in this day and age, we don't really approve of the theft of the last biscuit. This is a very serious offence, Luke. Can you just consider what you've done? And this is not normal, okay, in a court proceeding. You don't normally get the chance to just chat with the judge like this, okay? So if you've got something, if you would like to argue with someone about this, then I suggest that you take it up privately. But we now have a very important trial to deal with, okay? You already arrived at the court a little bit late today. If this goes any further, then I will be obliged to hold you in contempt of court, okay? And I said, look, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to cause any problems. I arrived in this city fairly recently. I'm kind of new around here, okay? Maybe I just wasn't aware that stealing a biscuit was such a serious crime around here. And the judge said, well, I expect in future that before you steal the last biscuit in the drawer, that you maybe ask someone about it, okay, before you do it. Maybe you could have considered asking someone for the last biscuit. All you needed to say was, I'm sorry, but does anyone mind if I have the last biscuit? You could have said that. And I said to him, look, I believe that in law, you are generally considered to be innocent until proven guilty. Is that not right? Why are you talking to me as if I actually did this? I've only been accused of it. I haven't actually, it hasn't been proven yet. And the judge said, okay, fair enough. I also believe in the that principle that you're innocent until proven guilty. So, okay, fine. Let's continue with the case. And then maybe in the future, this will just belong to all of the common law in this country, and it can be used again. Because, I mean, this is the first time, I have to admit, Mr. Johnson, this is the first time that anyone has been brought into a Crown court like this, accused of stealing a biscuit. And it's never been done before. There is no precedent in this kind of case. So this is a very important case, and if depending on which way it goes, it will ultimately belong to all of the case law, which can be used again in the future. So you should feel proud in a way. Well, obviously you feel bad that you've been arrested, but you should feel proud to belong to a long tradition of legal history. And I said, look, of course I do feel very proud and all that, but it's not taking anything away from the fact that ultimately this is terrible. I'm in court. I've been accused of theft. I can't believe it. Secretly, I was thinking, I'm going to get that Jeff for this. I can't believe he set me up like this. I blame Jeff for everything. All my troubles, it's all going to be his fault. And I thought, what I'm going to do when I get out of this situation, what I'm going to do, I'm going to borrow a custard pie from the kitchen. I'm going to go into the kitchen and say, sorry, do you mind if I just borrow this custard pie from you? I'm going to take that custard pie and I'm going to splat it right in Jeff's face, right in his stupid biscuit-munching face. I don't care about your values about biscuits, Jeff. Biscuits are for everyone. It's not just for you. Okay, I know that you care more about biscuits than you do about your colleagues, but enough is enough, I thought to myself. I think that probably the best way to deal with this is to bring it up in a meeting at work. then, I'll invite other people to comment on it. And then, on balance, if it's considered to be a punishable crime to steal the last biscuit in the drawer, then fair enough. But anyway, all of that's academic now, because here I am in a courtroom about to be tried for what apparently is a serious felony crime of stealing the last biscuit in the drawer. And I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I mean, there's not really anything I can do at the moment. I could have try and complain to the judge again. I could try and complain to the judge. I could try and complain to the clerk of the court, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. Instead, maybe what I can do is just concentrate on giving evidence in the best way. Just concentrate on this trial, and I'll be able to do it. And my lawyer at this point turned to me and he said, "Luke, are you sure about this? Are you sure that you're able to? Are you sure that you're going to be able to construct some kind of legal courtroom drama just using all of these verb, preposition, collocations? Are you sure that you want to set this entire story in a courtroom?" Sure, the courtroom is a dramatic place for a story to be set. But you're making this up off the top of your head. It's not like you're some legal crime writer who spent 6 months sitting in on legal cases and then used it as the basis for a brilliant crime story. No, you're just making it all up. And I said, look, thanks for your comments, but just let me try and concentrate on doing this episode. And then in the end, when it turns out to be an amazing masterpiece, then you'll congratulate me for it. Okay, so let's just see how we go. And ultimately, even if the story doesn't make any sense, at least it's going to consist of some useful bits of advice and a whole list of verb plus preposition collocations. So, that's fine, isn't it? And so the court case continued. And even Jeff Stevens gave evidence. And the lawyer was saying things like, did you give Mr. Johnson here consent to take the last biscuit in the drawer? And Jeff was like, no, he didn't. In fact, he didn't even ask me. I didn't have the opportunity to consent to offering the last biscuit in the drawer. He took the biscuit without any prior consent at all. He's a thief! A thief, I tell you! To be honest, he made a bit of a fool of himself. I don't think it really contributed to the case very well. I think instead he just made himself look like a biscuit-crazed madman, and it didn't really contribute to the case against me. And at this point, it was my turn to take the stand, to take the witness stand as the defendant in this case. And I thought to myself, I hope I can count on my lawyer to do a good job here. And maybe what he can do is cover the truth with a blanket of lies and then protect me. Because secretly, listeners, let me tell you, let me be straight with you, okay? In fact, I did it, okay? I did. I stole the last biscuit in the drawer. I didn't ask anyone's permission. It was the end of the day, okay? I'd been working hard. I had a cup of tea and I thought, I need a biscuit. I can't just have a cup of tea without a biscuit. So I very slyly and carefully slipped the drawer open, and there it was. One chocolate digestive biscuit left in the drawer, and I thought, I shouldn't really take it. I shouldn't really, but then I thought, I'm going to do it, okay? I'm just going to decide to do it. So at that moment, I decided on a life of crime for myself, okay? And I thought, if things go wrong, then at least I'll be able to depend on my lawyer for some support. And in fact, immediately after doing it, I gave him a call. I called him on the telephone and said, hello, Mr. Lawyer, Mr. John Lawyer, can I discuss something with you for a moment? I've just got something to clarify. I'm not sure about the laws relating to biscuit theft. And he said to me, Luke, have you done something? Is there something you want to tell me? And I was like, no, I've got nothing to tell you. I just wanted to clarify something about the law. It's just that I can't distinguish between Article 1.2 and Article 1.3 in the biscuit laws of England and Wales. I just wondered if you could explain it to me. And he said to me, Luke, I never dreamt, and and I said to him, "You'd never dreamt." Okay, that doesn't really make any sense in this point in the story. And he said, "No, well, I was going to use a verb preposition collocation, but it didn't really work." And he said to me, "Look, do you ever dream about biscuits?" And I was like, "Well, of course I do. Everyone does." He said, "All right, that's not really working. Do you ever dream of ending up in prison? Do you ever have nightmares about prison, Luke?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I've had a few nightmares about prison." And he said, "Really? That's a bit weird. It's not a normal thing to dream about." And I said, "Well, I only agreed to that because it helps to progress the story along here, okay? We're still in the D section of this massive list." And so let's move it along. And he said, "Okay, yeah, I do dream about prison, but whenever I dream about being in prison, I always manage to escape from the prison." Okay? And he said, "Oh, all right, I see." And then he said, "Anyway, what was it? You wanted to ask me about the law. You wanted me to explain some article of the legal code to you." And at that point, someone knocked on the door, and I said, "Sorry, can you excuse me for a moment?" And he said, "Yes, certainly, I can excuse you for just ending this conversation. Would you like me to excuse you for just making an extremely weird, rambling episode of Luke's English podcast?" And I said, "Yeah, do you think you could forgive me for doing that?" And he said, "Yeah, of course I could forgive you for doing that, because you're Luke from Luke's English podcast." And so at that point, I thought, right, I need to get rid of the lawyer from this telephone call. So I put the phone down and said, "Right, I've got rid of him. That's enough of that." And in the end, I thought, just thinking briefly about the lawyer, I wonder how he managed to graduate from law school, because he's an absolute idiot, that guy. Anyway, all of this stuff happened to me. It really did. And so anyway, I was left in the courtroom thinking, what am I going to do? I hope I'm going to survive. I don't know what kind of punishment this is. I hope that my lawyer's going to help me with this. If the worst comes to the worst, I could always just hide at the back of the court and hope that the whole thing just blows over. Maybe I could just hide from everyone. I don't think that would work. I don't think that's really a very good solution to being taken to court. Just hiding behind the bench at the back of the courtroom, and the judge would say, "So, where's the defendant? It doesn't seem to be. We have no defendant. Okay, case dismissed, court adjourned." I don't think that's the way it works in legal cases. You can't just hide from everyone. No, you certainly can't. They tend to insist on finding you and pursuing the court case to its logical conclusion. Anyway, at that point the lawyer said, "Can I introduce the court to a very interesting witness at this point?" And the judge said, "Certainly." And the lawyer said, "I would like to invite oh God I'd like to invite Batman to this case." And everyone was like, "What, Batman? How does Batman relate to this? How on earth is this lawyer going to introduce Batman into this biscuit-related court case?" And I thought, why is he inviting Batman up to the court? And, is Batman really going to exist? And Batman then arrived in court. Of course he did. There he was. "I'm Batman." That's how he introduced himself. The lawyer said, "Just for the benefit of the court, could you state your name, please?" And he said, "My name's Batman." And then the lawyer said, "Okay, and just for the benefit of the members of the jury, just tell us what your job is." And he said, I'm Batman. That's my job." And the lawyer said, "Could you just maybe let us know why it is you're speaking in that weird voice?" "Well, I'm trying to quit smoking." Okay, and oh God, how am I going to keep something for someone? Okay, and so the lawyer then said, "Now, Mr. Batman, is it not true that Mr. Stevens here, because he loves biscuits so much, what he tends to do is he asks you to keep the last biscuit for him. He asks you to keep it in your mansion under protection, in order to make sure that no one else can eat the biscuit." And the Batman went, I guess that's true." And and the judge said, "What's your line of questioning here, Mr. Lawyer?" And the lawyer said, "Well, I'm just saying that I think that biscuits matter very highly to Mr. Stevens, maybe a bit too highly. What I'm saying is that he has an unreasonable level of interest over the protection of the last biscuit in the drawer to an unreasonable level. So what I'm saying is that this case is really unjustified. In fact, I object entirely to the suggestion, the accusation of theft by my client, Mr. Thompson." And everyone said, "Mr. Thompson? Who's that? Oh, Mr. Johnson, sorry, it's a mistake. So I object to this case on all kinds of different grounds. On the grounds that Mr. Stevens has an unnatural interest in protecting the last biscuit in the drawer to the extent to which he's willing to even ask Batman to protect the last biscuit in the drawer. And I think that this amounts to an unlawful use of vigilante-based superhero justice, and I do not wish to participate in these proceedings any further, and I think that it's only natural that Mr. Stevens pay the price for all of the time and cost that's been expended on this case. And Mr. Stevens, if you plan on doing this again, then you will find that we will just ask, well, Spider-Man and maybe the X-Men to come and sort you out. So, you better pray for your life, Jeff Stevens. So if you prefer to live your life, if you prefer to pick up your broken teeth with a broken arm, then you could probably continue to use Batman. But beware, because we've got Spider-Man and the X-Men. And at that point, the judge turned to me and said, "Mr. Johnson, is there any way that you could perhaps prevent your lawyer from introducing more superhero elements into this story? It's just that it's getting a bit ridiculous." And I said to him, "Well, you're the judge. You can decide." And the judge at that point said, "Okay, from now on, I prohibit anyone from introducing superheroes into this story because, frankly, it's getting ridiculous. This is a court case, and we need to be proper. We need to proceed in the normal manner. And getting Batman and Spider-Man and the X-Men involved is just ridiculous, okay? So it's important that we protect the citizens of this country. Of course it is. And I understand the role that superheroes play in that action, but seriously, I would also like to protect this court case from the intervention of ridiculous superheroes, okay? So, Mr. Lawyer, could you provide us with any further evidence to defend your client?" And Mr. Lawyer at that point was going, "Sorry, I'm just recovering from a bit of a heavy night last night. Okay, I drank a little bit too much and I've just got a bit of a hangover. I'm just recovering from it." And the judge said, "Okay, that's a bit of unnecessary information. I understand that you're just trying to introduce some preposition collocations into this story. But seriously, you don't let the whole fabric of the story break down any more than it already has, okay? I understand that you're relying on your appreciation of the superhero genre, but this is a court case. This is a crime drama, and so that's what you should be focusing on." And he then turned to me and he said, "Can I just remind you, Luke, from Luke's English podcast, that you're supposed to be making useful educational content for people online. It's not just an excuse for you to ramble on about Batman, okay? We all know that your Batman voice is quite good. Just do it for us again. I'm Batman. That's very good. Well done. Congratulations. But let me try and just rescue this episode from complete nonsense, okay? So, the accusation being levelled at you, Mr. Johnson, is that you stole a biscuit. How do you respond to that accusation?" And I just said, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I only asked Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and the X-Men to come in because I thought they could save me from this terrible situation. To be honest, Mr. Judge, I'm just searching for something to say here. Okay, I'm finding it hard to separate the truth from the fiction. It's hard to separate reality and the world of the superhero in my brain. I'm really sorry. I'm just getting a bit confused. And I don't want to upset my parents because, if my mum and dad find out that I've been taken to court, then when I get home, they're going to scold me for it. And they'll say, Luke, what have you been doing? Didn't we raise you properly? Didn't we raise you to, A, not steal other people's biscuits, and B, not bring superheroes into courtroom dramas? Didn't you know that? And the judge looked at me with sympathy and he smiled at me. He smiled at me for making such an honest, sincere statement. And he said to me, look, I'm going to speak to some of the other judges about this and we'll see what we can do. And I looked over at Jeff Stevens and he was staring at the judge, staring at him, just looking at him like, what on earth is this judge saying? And I thought, oh my God, Jeff's going to try and stop the judge from saving me, isn't he? And at that point, the lawyer came to my defence. And he looked at Jeff and he said, Mr. Stevens, do you subscribe to any legal journals? And Jeff was like, no, I don't. And he said, well, if you did subscribe to various legal journals, then you would know that accusing someone of the theft of a biscuit is admittedly legal, but in informal legal circles, it's considered to be one of the lowest accusations that you can level at a person. Of course, we understand that it's important to protect the last biscuit in the drawer, if that's the case. But taking someone to court and then using Batman as some kind of vigilante kind of crime-fighting weirdo to help you, it's just ridiculous. Do you not think that you're maybe trying to substitute Batman for a lack of friendship in your life? And I thought to myself, that's a bit of a low blow, isn't it? Having a go at Jeff's personal life. This is getting a bit sort of down and dirty, isn't it now? I hope that all my listeners are able to keep up with this ridiculous attempt at a courtroom drama. And I hope this isn't subtracting from your general listening enjoyment of another episode of the podcast. And I sincerely hope that I'm going to manage to succeed in presenting lots of preposition verb preposition collocations here. And I hope that this episode isn't suffering from just a general sense of weirdness and randomness. And I hope that my listeners are going to be able to take advantage of this listening resource as a way of learning learning more English. Because ultimately that's my aim. And this is what I was saying in the courtroom as one final speech to try and defend myself. I was saying, I hope that you understand that all I'm trying to do is take care of people who are learning English. I'm just there to protect them, to protect their interests. I know that Jeff Stevens, all you care about is a single biscuit, and you're even willing to ask Batman to help you out, as if he hasn't got more important things to be doing, like taking care of the citizens of Gotham City and that kind of thing. I'm here looking after the interests of people around the world who are learning English. I'm here to take care of them, okay? So that they can then go on to talk to each other effectively. They can talk to each other about all kinds of topics, okay? And maybe, Jeff Stevens, maybe what you should be doing is trying to thank me for doing that rather than taking me to court. Maybe what you should do is maybe buy me a pack of biscuits, Jeff. Instead of taking me to court, accusing me of theft of the last biscuit. Maybe you're being a bit selfish. Maybe you should have travelled down to the supermarket and picked up a few packs of chocolate digestives. Maybe it's the least thing that you could do. I noticed as well that when I was nominated for the Macmillan Dictionary Award for Best Blog this year, that you didn't vote for me. Thanks very much. I really appreciate that. It's nice to know that the people I work with just refuse to vouch for me. Maybe if you could just wait for me to give my excuses, then this would we wouldn't have to waste the taxpayers' money by going through a whole court process. Okay, I understand that you're just wishing. I understand that you're wishing for me to just be locked up so that you never have to worry about me eating your biscuits again. But really, Jeff, we just work for the same company. We're colleagues. We should look out for each other, don't you think? And at this point, I noticed that there was a single tear rolling down Jeff Stevens' face. And I knew that I'd got through to him. I knew that he understood what I was saying, that he'd regretted taking me to court, accusing me of biscuit theft. And he looked over at me and he said, "Luke, I'm really sorry. Come here." And I went over to Jeff and I said, "Look, Jeff, I forgive you. Okay, I forgive you for accusing me. You know what, Jeff? I'm going to admit it. I stole the last biscuit. Okay, I'm putting my hands up. I took the biscuit. I was hungry. I had a cup of tea. I needed some kind of sugary oatmeal chocolate snack. And I went for the biscuit. Okay, so please forgive me for doing it." And Jeff said, "Luke, I forgive you. And I'm sorry about all this. Let's put our differences aside. Let's make friends again." And we gave each other a hug and patted each other on the back. And from that day forwards, everything was okay. And then I realised that I was still asleep. And in fact, the whole thing had just been a dream. Okay, that's the end of that story, that's always the most cop-out ending, isn't it, of a story? When you don't know how to end a story and you just say, "And in the end, it was all just a dream." What a cop-out. But nevertheless, I managed to do it, didn't I? I managed to go through all of those verb, preposition, collocations. Let me just very quickly go through the list, and I'll just read them out. So we've got to accuse someone of doing something. See if you can get the preposition right. I'm going to pause before I say the preposition. See if you can get it right. So to accuse someone of doing something. To add something to something. For example, to add something to a list. To admire someone for doing something. To agree on a topic. To agree with someone. To apologise to someone for doing something. To apply to a place for something. For example, to apply to a university. To approve of something. To argue with someone about something. To arrive at a building. To arrive in a city. To ask someone about something. To ask someone for something. Like, can you give me that biscuit, please? He asked him for the biscuit. To believe in something. To belong to someone. So that biscuit belongs to me, for example. To blame someone for doing something. To borrow something from someone. To care about something. To comment on something. To compare something to something else, or to compare something with something else. To complain to someone about something. To concentrate on something. To congratulate someone for doing something, or to congratulate someone on doing something. To consist of this, like a hamburger consists of bread and a burger and some salad and lots of calories. To consent to doing something. To contribute to doing something. To count on someone to do something. Can I count on you to make sure that we never run out of biscuits ever again? To cover something with something, right? To decide on something. To depend on someone for something. To discuss something with someone. To distinguish something from something else. To dream about something, or to dream of something or someone. To escape from somewhere. To explain something to someone. To excuse someone for doing something. To forgive someone for doing something. To get rid of something. To graduate from university. To happen to someone. You know, why do these things always happen to me? Help someone with something. Hide something from someone. In my story, I hid from everyone in the courtroom, but you could also hide something from someone. Like, Jeff, why didn't you, if you like having the last biscuit so much, why didn't you just hide it from everyone? To insist on something. To introduce someone to someone else. To invite someone to an event. To keep something for someone. Like, he always keeps the biscuits for himself. To matter to someone. It really matters to me. To object to something. To participate in something. To pay a price for something. To plan on doing something. To pray for something, to prefer something to something else, to prevent someone from doing something, to prohibit someone from doing something, to protect someone from something, to provide someone with something, to recover from something, to rely on something or someone, to remind someone of something. You really remind me of someone. Did I use that phrase? Did I use that one? I think I did. I don't remember how I used it. To rescue someone from something, to respond to someone, to save someone from something, to search for something, to separate something from something else, to scold someone for doing something. By the way, to scold someone means to tell someone off. Like if your parents discover that you cheated in an exam, when you get home, they will say, I can't believe that you cheated in the exam. You're a disappointment to me. You're a disappointment to your father. You're a disappointment to yourself. That's to scold someone, to tell someone off. To smile at someone. Why? For doing something. To speak to someone about something. To stare at something or someone. To stop someone from doing something. To subscribe to something. For example, to subscribe to Luke's English Podcast. To substitute something for something else. To subtract something from something else. To succeed in doing something. To suffer from something. To take advantage of someone or something or a situation. To take care of someone or something. To talk to or talk with someone about something. To thank someone for doing something. To travel to a place. To vote for. Vouch for. To wait for. And to wish for. And work for as well. Okay, there's clearly not enough time for me to do adjectives and prepositions and to do nouns and preposition collocations in this episode too. So that's going to have to wait until a later episode, the next one in this series. And I hope you didn't find my story too ridiculous, but obviously I was just making it all up off the top of my head. I must do better next time. Thanks again for listening to Luke's English Podcast. If you think that it's worth it, then you could donate a little bit of money, maybe just to help me to buy some biscuits. Okay, that's the end of this episode. Thank you very much again for listening, and I will speak to you again very soon. But for now, it's time to say goodbye. Bye. Bye. Bye.